What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Happy Skews Day to you. It's August 26th, 2025. When you're watching this, we're recording this. It is currently Monday, August 25th at about 2:30 p.m. on the left coast. I'm Trey. That's Mark. I'm back again. I missed last week. I'm sure you guys somehow persevered without me.
I almost missed this week. You were stuck at the airport tarmac for forever, right?
It's literally my outbound trip to St. Louis. I was in St. Louis this weekend, and I had a real tight connection. I was worried about it because I've been having so much travel bullshit lately. And that day, everything went completely perfectly. So that's good. But that's the only travel day I feel like I've had in weeks where there wasn't at least some bullshit, if not like, a veritable deluge of bullshit. So it's been really getting on my nerves lately. But I'm sure everything's going to clear up soon, just generally in the country. Things seem to be trending upwards and all. So
at least you're flying in 2020. Imagine like all those delays back in like the 60s when you had to there was no phone to play on or iPad to watch movies on. And you just had you had to wear a suit and everyone was smoking around. Of course, you'd be smoking too. So
yes.
Before we get to the show, I want to talk about the New York's dunce cap mayoral race for a little bit because it's the comedic relief we all deserve. So Zoran Mamdani did a scavenger hunt with like thousands of people going around learning about New York mayoral trivia or something yesterday, which of course everybody hated that because it was fun. And also, I imagine that the New York Post ran a headline about call it a Hamas scavenger hunt or some shit. It's you know what else is a scavenger? Vultures. Where do you live? The desert, just like ISIS. So you gotta do that. Andrew Cuomo somehow accidentally hired a Nazi to make memes for him, then immediately fired him, so that was fun. But that doesn't even rate today, because I want to talk about Eric Adams for a second. So Mamdani, who is constantly viral, is sort of like the lesson the Democratic establishment has learned is they should be more on the internet. So here's Eric Adams trying to be more online. You've got this video, Matt.
Reported to 311 down. That's what happens when you lead with purpose and have an unmatched hatred for rats and garbage like I have.
He's wearing a mission basically doing a press conference about rats in front of a mission accomplished banner.
Right. In New York, I don't know. The rats are never going to lose that war. I'm pretty sure.
No. Surrender, buddy. Fucking surrender to the rats. So, probably my most New York thing I ever seen. I was got a 2-month gig in New York, and I took a red-eye flight, got there on Monday morning, went straight to work. So I land at the airport and get off the subway in Manhattan, right? So I haven't been outdoors yet because it's early in the morning. And I see, get off the subway, and I see a rat who had suffocated to death in the side of a trash bag. I'm like, New York, baby, you love it. Yep. All right. So Eric Adams, of course, basically got complete immunity from all his federal charges, but it doesn't from the Trump administration to cooperate with whatever bullshit they wanted to do. Another reason they have to vote him out, which they know that he's pulling 8% right now. So another round of indictments came down for his staff though this week, including one I want to talk about. One by the name of Ingrid Lewis Martin, who's been his right-hand woman for over 2 decades. She'd been indicted before for connected to straw donations from the Chinese, hidden straw donations from the Chinese Communist Party or some shit. She gets Ingrid Lewis Martin. She got indicted for the bribe. The stuff she did includes stuff like fast tracking a permit for a karaoke bar, and what she got was a speaking role. One of the things she got was a speaking role on Godfather of Harlem.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty sweet deal,
Yeah, I just imagine I don't even think these charges wouldn't stand up federally because it's too penny ante, but it's just so fucking tacky. If you got this video, Matt, here's her appearance on Godfather of Harlem, acting against the guy playing. Oh, what's the guy? Why can't I think of the actor's name? You'll see in a second. Hold on.
Hi, Bumpy.
How's it going?
It's going
Forrest
good.
Whitaker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she says how to Forrest Whitaker playing Bumpy Johnson at a bar.
Oh, that's it. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, that's the whole
Bumpy.
thing.
Yeah.
And for that, she caught a federal charge for getting paid $800 in a SAG day scale. Her son is involved. The main person made the most profit here seems to be her son, who DJs under the name Suave Luciano, which of course he does. And he got a car out of it. Now, you want to talk about cynicism here. So the Adams administration And part of the rightward swing has been complaining about New York City being forced to take in a bunch of migrants, right, which they had put up in hotels. What she apparently did was rig for these hotel contracts, these hotel shelter contracts, to go to donors in exchange for money to bought her son a car. So while they're railing against this, they're doing corruption in the back end of it, allegedly, right? Another deeply funny scandal connected to this, another Eric Adams advisor by the name of Winnie Greco, who resigned from his administration or connections to him after she got hit. She was also part of the Chinese straw donor scheme to steal campaign funds from the city of New York. She tried to pay off a reporter. She gave a reporter an open bag of potato chips that the reporter thought was just a bag of potato chips. The reporter declined to take the bag of potato chips. You're not even supposed to take that. Right.
Wait, yeah. Well, also, no, I wouldn't because I'm a fat fuck who loves potato chips. But I feel like if you think you're being offered a half-eaten open bag of potato chips from a person, you know, it would be most people's default response to be like, "Thanks, I'm good. That's okay."
Yeah.
Like, was it money in it? Is that what it was? Like, it was like a bribe or something?
So after Winnie Greco, who's the Eric Adams affiliated woman, insisted on the reporter taking the bag of chips and walking away. She shoved it in her chest and walked away. The reporter looked in it after she walked a few blocks and found a red envelope with $140 cash, like $100 bill and
$140.
Yeah.
What? I mean, I don't know. I thought it was going to be more. That's like the scene from a movie, sort of like a bribe hidden in a bag of potatoes. It got you a little something. I heard you were hungry, whatever. But it's wink, it's money. But $140 is like, I don't know, like in a fantasy league entry fee or something. Like, what kind of corruption is that?
Dinner for $3 at an Outback Steakhouse.
Right.
Here's a risky career for it. So the Winnie Greco, the reporter called Winnie Greco back. It's like, "I can't take this. I have to give this back to you." And eventually found her and gave the money back to her, in which case she got extremely apologetic. When her lawyers asked about it, her lawyer's last name is Brill. "I can see this looks strange," Brill said, "but I assure you that Winnie's intent was purely innocent. In the Chinese culture, money is often given to others in a gesture of friendship and gratitude." So... Okay. From the city that brought you, the state, that brought you Andrew Cuomo's defense of "I'm not a pervert, I'm Italian," we get the fresh defense, "It's not bribery, I'm Chinese."
Yeah, it's just what we do. It's fun. I was actually kind of thinking about this sort of thing earlier because on one of my flights today, I watched until I fell asleep about 2 hours into it. Of course, I've seen it before. I was rewatching Casino, the Martin Scorsese movie from '95. Good movie, yeah. And there's a scene in there where a Nevada state senator, so not a U.S. senator, but a state senator in Nevada comes to their casino and they get him like a hooker and a mountain of cocaine and stuff because they're like, it's the type of guy you want to keep happy, And I was just thinking about how, like, I don't know, how corruption at all levels, like, that seems like such a nothing level of politics to me, state level politics in somewhere like Nevada or whatever. But, and I know that movie's not a documentary, but I'm just saying, like, like they still get, I don't know, they just get corrupted so easily, and it's always some bullshit going on at every single level of it, it seems like. So it's no wonder that the overall system is, got so many warts on it and everything.
Well, it didn't, I don't remember it ever being this. Usually when these scandals happen, they're scandals. Like, they bring down people. Right? Now they just happen. Everybody's like, well, what are you going to do? Yeah. Eric Adams got free stuff from the Turkish government. Now we all just know about it, right? But so Eric Adams was asked about Winnie Greco, and he said, when asked about these findings, the mayor deflected and downplayed his relationship to Greco, saying he hadn't spoken to her about the allegations. "When I see her, I say ni hao. That's hello," he told the press. Oh God, I'm gonna miss him.
Okay, so Winnie Greco is actually Asian or whatever. I know she was like the liaison to the. Okay, right.
I think she's originally from China. Yeah.
All right. Okay, well, let's get into it. Producer Matt is here doing his thing behind the scenes back here. This is Weekly Skews. Before we continue, of course, would like to hit you with some business, as I often always do. If you want to see me do stand-up comedy live and in person, you should go to TreyCrowder.com and check out my upcoming tour dates. Thanks to everybody who came out to St. Louis, Missouri this past weekend. It was a lot of fun. Up next, we got upstate New York, Connecticut, most of the cities in Ohio, Virginia, Milwaukee, Madison, Dallas, and a bunch of others coming up after that. Never stops, baby. TreyCrowder.com. Also on that website, you can find the link to my most recent special Trash Dad. If you haven't watched it, you should. And if you want some good news as a palate cleanser of sorts, sometimes you can check out producer Matt's audio exclusive called Good Skews. So you go to the podcast version of this show and subscribe on there, and that's where you can access that. Finally, if you all want to support the show otherwise and get some bonus editions of it, you can sign up on Patreon, $5 a month, get you access to 2 full-length bonus episodes. We do Q&A sometimes. It's just more skews for you, and you support the show in the process. So consider signing up on Patreon. Now, let's get into it, and let's go ahead and start the way we always do. This is has been one of my favorite subjects in some time recently. Let's begin with this week's Daily Dumbass. Matt, graphic, please. Today's DD, the gay communist for thinking we wouldn't catch them trying to wokeify the sausage gravy. Here we go. You know what it is.
Company infested with left-wing activists who are more interested in safe spaces, pronouns, and virtue signaling than they are in their customers. I think the best way to start is by telling you what you've been funding if you've gone to Cracker Barrel in recent years. Nashville Pride. Yes, Cracker Barrel is a proud sponsor of Nashville Pride and have been part of it for over a decade. Long participating.
So this whole Cracker Barrel thing is driving me fucking insane, dog.
Yeah, me too.
That's Robbie. That's a conservative influencer by the name of Robbie Starbuck, who used to direct music videos. Like, he directed like videos for Akon and the Smashing Pumpkins, and then his career fell off. And like 10 years later, when he hadn't worked, he's like, "Wait a minute, it's because I'm conservative. I've been canceled." So, yeah. Let me quote here from Robbie Starbuck: "A Christian cannot give their money to Cracker Barrel, and so we won't." This is about a logo change, the most fucking boring, innocuous logo change.
Right.
And like, usually this stuff, like, I always think it's stupid, but if I squint, I can see it.
You're right. I know. I agree completely. That's what I just posted a stand-up clip from one of the shows I did this weekend because I was talking about this on stage this weekend. Because I agree with you completely. It's like, I don't know what. Obviously, the joke everyone made, they took both the cracker and the barrel out of the logo or whatever. But if y'all haven't seen it, they essentially, that's what they did. They removed the dude and the barrel and redid the font and just made it very bland and boring. And it's like, I also think that it sucks. Like, I don't like the rebrand or that new logo, but I just think it sucks in like a soulless, boring, corporate minimalism type of way. I don't understand what's supposed to be, woke about it. It's also, again, it's funny. One of the things I said was like, y'all really think that like their board of directors got together and was like, listen, guys, if we don't succumb to the pressure of the woke mob, then Cracker Barrel may not survive. Like the idea that they in particular would first of all, who's still catering to wokeness right now in 2025, like post the election and everything. It's been going the other direction. They somehow haven't noticed.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's just they haven't noticed they won. Like, right. It's like I'm looking at so they apparently I guess the guy in the chair next to the barrel is supposed to be a farmer, but like, why do we think he's white? He's fucking yellow. Has he been white this whole time? I never thought about it. but yeah, you're right. Like, it's like the new logo is like, it's just like this corporate shitification of everything becomes the same.
Right.
But like nobody likes that. But like, it's all owned by the same 5 people. What do you want?
Right. It's also like if y'all have noticed, if you look around, like used to, like when we were younger and shit, like Pizza Huts. The buildings, they looked, hut-y or whatever. They had like a distinctive look, like a Pizza Hut did. And a lot of those, and if you look at them all now, they're all just like square boxes with the same, like it's all just, like you said, the shitification of it's all just becoming just this one amorphous fucking, megacorp dystopia or whatever. And this just feels like another version of that, but it's not fucking woke though. Like,
yeah, it's like we were told that communism what leads to a dearth of choices, but then every restaurant has the same fucking hamburger with Gruyere cheese on it.
Right. Well, and do you I'm not trying to derail this because it's directly related, I feel like, but I was reading that about how all the restaurants look the same in the buildings and stuff. The reason for that is because then they can be released to other restaurants without having to make modifications and stuff. So it's all about just like
I I understand why Pizza Hut would find it more appealing from a business standpoint to not try to like figure out a way to unload businesses when the restaurants fail that look like, you know, tiki huts built out of red Legos or whatever.
Right.
I fucking understand that.
Right.
But anyway, that's just like deeply as like culturally as an American, like the fact that we all hang our cultural identity on brands feels more soulless and decrepit than anything I could fucking say. Like first of all, Cracker Barrel, their brand is built on nostalgia, but the chain was founded in 1969. It was at no point a chain of old country stores. It was built for a generation whose grandparents have a vague recollection of going to old country stores when they were children.
Right.
So they're essentially having nostalgia for nostalgia?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't fucking know what to make of this. And but no matter how fucking soulless and depressing and stupid this is, and how based on nothing it is, everybody felt the need to go insane about it. I want to start here with a tweet from Hillsdale College. If you don't know what Hillsdale is, I've made a post with a photo comparison of the new Cracker Barrel logo with a statue of George Washington with red paint splashed on it.
I mean, what?
What the fuck?
How? Yeah, right. Like what? Like what? Literally, what is that even trying to say? Just these are two things that we hate here at Hillsdale College, you know?
It's like they've destroyed our tradition. Hanging over all this is like they discovered that like Cracker Barrel's CEO he's been CEO for a couple of years, is a white woman with glasses, so therefore woke, right?
Mm-hmm, right.
So if you wonder why Hillsdale College is weighing in on this, they're a conservative private school who's basically like DeVry for future congressmen and state senators who'll be arrested at glory holes. So Byron Donalds thought he had the funniest take on this, the Republican congressman from Florida. He tweeted, let me read this to you. In college, I worked at Cracker Barrel in Tallahassee. I even gave my life to Christ in their parking lot. I gave my life to Christ in a Cracker Barrel parking lot?
Yeah. Stop giving Morgan Wallen song ideas, man. Fucking sounds like a country hit. It also sounds like that's literally like a famous like Office quote or whatever. I feel God in this Chili's tonight. Like,
yeah,
he unironically did that, but at a Cracker Barrel apparently.
I can't even figure out the sequence of events that would lead to like someone finding God or Christ in a Cracker Barrel parking lot. Like, because he says he used to work there. Like, did he get like a Sunday shift tip for a prayer card and it instead of money, and it worked?
That would infuriate me as a former server, because there was nothing we ever hated more than that, because that happened all the time. Sometimes those motherfuckers it would be made to look like a $5 bill or a $20 bill or something, like, and then you unfold it and inside it's got like a Bible verse and it's like, give your life to the Lord, and it's not actual money. It's like, okay, I'll see if my landlord will take this, you know. It's like, yeah, so the idea of someone doing that and it actually working just makes me want everyone involved to die.
It's like, let me read this tweet here from Anna Paulina Luna, another Florida congresswoman. Bud Light, Target, Disney, Jaguar, now Cracker Barrel. One by one, a once great American company is self-destructing with woke rebrands. The Jaguar thing is based upon deal, but she listed an American company, a company that literally has like their narrator in their commercials is a British person who pronounces it Jaguar. Mm-hmm. Like what these people are like, oh my God, they fucking drive me insane. Chris Rufo, basically the lizard brain of the Republican Party right now, right-hand think tank guy for Ron DeSantis, tweeted, quote, all right, I'm hearing chatter from behind the scenes about the Cracker Barrel campaign, and on second thought, we must break the barrel. They're going to fucking try to put Cracker Barrel out of business. Here's the thing. Cracker Barrel's already headed out of business. That's why they're doing the fucking rebrand. They lost half their value in the last 5 years. And this is based on this nostalgic reverence for people who can only remember having eaten there as kids. And they think that's going to fix it. But they don't even eat there anymore. If they ate there, they wouldn't be losing money. They wouldn't be rebranding.
Do you think that, to them, it was like, like the Zoom or whatever, the kids, the next generation, it's like, they don't think old people are cool. This whole like folksy country thing is like not ever going to appeal to Zoomers and Gen Alpha and stuff. So that's so let's just become, just a boring biscuit place or something.
My understanding is like this whole sector of of restaurants is struggling, like the casual sit down place. Because if you want casual, you just grab Chipotle. If you want sit down, you go place nicer, right? So like this, it's not just them, but they're one of those companies, and but also there's a part of it that They like Cracker Barrel added booze, I guess, trying to pivot from like people stopping for breakfast and lunch on long drives, trying to get the mimosa morning hotel crowd or something. I don't really understand it. That's their business. It's not mine, right? But like they this is a story from a year ago, from May of last year. Why is Cracker Barrel rebranding? Keeping nostalgia and becoming relevant again is a challenge, marketing expert says. No shit.
Right.
They're going to get fucking firebombed because they tried to their brand built on nostalgia. They tried to rebrand to focus on Zoomers.
Right.
But like. How you want this business to commit suicide to keep catering to 60-year-olds who don't eat there anymore?
Right.
Like let me quote here from a marketing expert. I think nostalgia makes this hard. It can be done, but I do think it makes it harder. And I'm coming back from the future to tell this guy it made it fucking impossible. This is an environment like so Target also just got hit with it's a softer, quieter boycott organized by a pastor in Georgia, I think, over there. They canceled DEI policies after Trump took office. And they lost like $12 billion, and their CEO just like quote unquote stepped down for a seat on the board or whatever. They're trying to figure out what the fuck to do. But like we're basically in a culture war in America where I would advise everybody, if I'm your McKinsey consultant, here's some free advice here. No one change anything until after Trump dies.
Right. Yeah, change just ain't it. But you said it was a pastor in Georgia. But isn't the Target thing? They got boycotted like by the left, right, because of succumbing to Trump. Like
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's what I said. Yeah. They got rid of their so they're first boycotted by conservatives for having like you know
gay sections and stuff and
gay stuffed animals that had rainbow pillows,
black nutcracker dolls and shit like that people got all mad about. Yeah, right. And then. So they went, but I just feel like it. I mean, I agree with you that just don't change anything. Change don't hit for people in this country. But like, I also just feel, I don't know how to put it. Like to me, Target, I feel like they should have known that. It's like I feel like it's kind of a case by case basis. It depends on like what your main demographic is or whatever. Which is why I just don't see how this move from Cracker Barrel would make sense as actually being an attempt at wokeness from them. I just don't buy that that's what they were doing. Again, they obviously fucked up, clearly, but no part of me thinks that was the motivation for this at all.
It was just an attempt to be blander.
Yeah, modernize or whatever. Yeah.
So but they think there's like some sort of conspiracy here, and I'm here to tell you that there might be a conspiracy. It's just not the one anyone thinks it is, right? So,
right.
Turns out, so jumping in on this outrage was a activist investor from San Antonio named Sardar Biglari. I think I'm pronouncing that correct. He's originally from Iran, I think. He owns Shake Shack, which we know has gone all in on the conservative side of this culture war to try to save their business, which is not really working.
No. Steak and Shake, right?
Steak and Shake, yeah. Sorry, what did I say?
You said Shake Shack.
Sorry, yeah.
I mean, those are easy to mix up, but Steak and Shake's the one that's been RFK Jr. says we can have beef tallow fries now, and by God, that's what we're going to do, or all that type of shit.
Yeah. So he owns a chunk of a Cracker Barrel. He's been trying to buy more and more stake in the company. Like, currently owns 9.3% or 2 million shares. He's tried and failed 4 times over a span of the last over 14 years to win a seat in Cracker Barrel's board. One of his director nominees was elected last year with the company's support after he filed a bunch of lawsuits. So they wouldn't give him a seat, but they gave someone he picked a seat, right? Let me quote from him. What's shocking is over the last 20 years, it's lost more than a third of its customer traffic, Biglari said during an annual meeting for his own holding fund. That's because you had 2 decades where the CEO did not know the customer. The Cracker Barrel customer is not a mimosa-drinking, plant-based, sausage-eating, pot-smoking liberal journalist.
Right, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, but their customer base is no one. That's the problem. No one fucking eats. Yeah.
So on that, obviously this is they're around the whole country and it doesn't matter. But dude, I'm not surprised. It was stupid. It wasn't woke. There was no reason for them to get outraged. But I'm not surprised that this company in particular was the subject of their ire when they perceived some wokeness. Because if me and my in-law, if we go back home to Tennessee where everybody's Christmas shopping and outside Nashville or something, and my in-laws and Katie's we're eating at Cracker Barrel. It's just not even, taken into consideration. That's just where they go. And it's people, I feel like Cracker Barrel, at least used to, where I'm from and with people I went to, it used to have kind of an own little, cult of personality around it. Not quite, again, not the level of Waffle House, which is funny to say, but it's but it's a thing, and for the record, I always thought it was like pretty overrated in terms of that. But I don't know. I know that a certain type of people seems to love Cracker Barrel, crackers really, but yeah, and it's just not the people like that guy just said. It's not the pot smoking liberal journalist crowd or whatever. So. But again, my point with that is that's how I know or feel like I know that isn't what they were doing is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying like it was so stupid of them to go woke considering what their demo is. I'm saying like that makes me fully believe that isn't what happened, because there's nothing woke about just a shitty bland logo. Just the absence of a papaw equals wokeness, I guess.
They're also so they redecorated the inside, right? Which the inside of Cracker Barrel was all like tchotchkes and knickknacks and reclaimed barnwood. Okay, those are artifacts from the early 1900s and late 1800s. Nobody's making any more of them.
Right.
So you cannot find new reclaimed barnwood because no one's building new old fucking barns. You fucking morons. They're just out of this shit. Anyway, so going back to Big Glory for a second, I'm not saying he astroturfed this whole campaign. That would explain the fucking Hillsdale College and Congress people talking about it. But it's more like this genre of person, this culture, this Twitter culture warrior thing that's able to drive fucking discourse to an insane degree. They're basically so brainless, they basically function like a bot army, where someone says this is woke, and they all jump in on it. No one can explain what the fuck is woke about it.
100%. That's 100% exactly what happened. Yeah, it's like a hive mind situation with them. Anyway, it's also fucking ridiculous. But we got an honorable mention for Daily Dumbass for you now, and it is anyone who thinks they can outrun ICE agents who are trained in the ways of whatever this is.
This time, Dean Cain isn't flying there. He's going through that obstacle course and training to be an honorary ICE agent. He was working hard out there, and this is exactly what those recruits will do as they're picked one by one. Law Enforcement Training Center in Brunswick, Georgia.
My man, he's like 60, right? He's like 59.
He's 59, yeah. But he's not even trying hard for a 59-year-old. And also, she says they're training to be an honorary ICE agent. What? Can you be rejected for being an honorary? I thought he joined ICE.
Me too. I thought the same thing. I also keyed in on what she said. I was like, wait, he's doing all this to be an honorary? Because like you said, I thought he literally just joined up. But I thought honorary something meant like we're just going to call you this and you don't have to do anything, because we like you or whatever.
The U.S. Marshals gave Trump earlier today an honorary U.S. Marshal badge, like you give a little kid when they visit the police station. Right. I was like, this is very similar to that. So, but anyway, Dean Cain's basically. Listen, I want to for those who are watching the video version, I want to emphasize that this is the best take they could get.
Yeah, right.
It's him leisurely climbing over a fence, crawling through a drainage pipe, and dragging a dummy that's I guess supposed to simulate carrying a resisting human being, except it's obviously too light to be a person.
Right.
So he's practicing for nothing. It's like this is like the American version of those Al Qaeda monkeys bars videos.
Yeah.
I was trying to the Special Olympics had parkour, or the other thing the other joke I came up with was American Ninja Sorrier. That's what I came up with. But I watched it, they are training for the real job, though, because I watched a video from D.C. where an ICE agent tried to, suplex a bike delivery driver and smacked his own head against the asphalt and then tried to cry and blame the guy for it. And I was like, okay, this is exactly what you did. These fucking lowered standards are really... Anyway, they're making content for the rest of us. Here's a photo. ICE in Portland tried to paint a line that's, in the sidewalk where you can't protest past. And they spelled government without the N, so ICE painted U.S. government property right there. So yeah, we're hitting on all cylinders. I wanted to, we got to speed through this. We want to get a couple more immigration crackdown updates before we get to the main part of the show. They're trying to deport Kilmore Abrigo to Garcia again. They took him into custody today.
Right.
Basically,
didn't they? He just somewhat recently got released, right? And then he had to come in for a meeting or something, and they just put him right back in custody or some shit.
Right. So they basically hit him with they hit him with that bullshit human trafficking charge in Tennessee a couple months ago. So he got released on bond for that. Then ICE is okay, well, they've been trying to get him to plead guilty to this bullshit charge. They know they can't prove in court. The reason I know they can't prove in court is what they're telling him is if you plead guilty, we will deport you to Costa Rica. Remember, he's Venezuelan, I think, so I don't know why they picked Costa Rica. But if you plead guilty, we will deport you to Costa Rica, where you at least kind of be a free person. You're close enough your family can visit. But if you fight us on the charges, we'll just ship you straight to fucking Uganda right now.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like textbook constitutional bullshit. You can't pressure someone to like give up their constitutional right to a trial by threatening them with a worse outcome from a legal proceeding. You're not supposed to be able to fucking do it. So anyway, the amount of resources the federal government's deploying to try to destroy the life of this one guy because they deported him because of a mistake they already admitted is fucking insane.
Yeah, I know. It sucks. It's just so petty and vindictive and shitty. I mean, yeah, and he's just some dude. He's just some regular guy that's like become, gotten under the microscope, and now they're just making his life a living hell. And, that's ongoing. It's not like it's over yet for anybody. Like, it could stand to get even worse.
Yeah. And it's like he's the one that got arrested because of on the word of a cop said he was a gang in New York, a place where he's never been. That cop got fired for giving investigation secrets to a prostitute. So Alligator Alcatraz is ordered to be to stop construction / close shortly. I guess they're going to fight in court, of course, because of an environmental impact review. Because the Misoki tribe sued them. Now, I'm glad it stopped for whatever reason, and I don't doubt the Misoki tribe's motivations here. They hunt and prey on this land, use it for religious ceremonies. But I just like that we're all trapped in the same hell. That no one anywhere can ever build anything because of environmental impact studies and review.
Yeah, but that's what makes me think that, like, I don't know, like, they don't even want there to be like an EPA or any of that stuff anymore, and also they seem to just not care about courts and stuff like that. So the specific context of not just a court telling them, oh, you got to not have this anymore, but that it's for these, super gay, environmental, Indian related reasons. It just feels like, that will just make them especially inclined to not to be shitheads about it, essentially.
Right.
No,
I just like it's just like I'm becoming this as a person who's lived in California for a long time, where like someone will try to build like a apartment building of affordable housing, and it'll get struck down from some rich person doesn't want apartments in the neighborhood will sue them for quote unquote environmental reasons because they don't want to destroy a historic parking lot or some shit.
Right.
But I do think that's like the idea that like the human rights abuses, no one can figure out a way to sue over that. But we've got a judge to say that your rape dungeon needs low flow toilets if you want to build it. So
yeah.
Also, one last thing on Alligator Alcatraz, the contractors are using seem to be connected to a lot of allegations of fraud. And let me read a couple examples here. One recently agreed to a multi-million-dollar settlement addressing allegations that it sold U.S. federal government products made in prohibited countries like China. Another shares top executives with two businessmen that were accused by ex-employees of filing inflated hurricane insurance claims in federally declared disaster areas, which you're going to get all that in sort of disaster capitalism. Here's the one that really hit for me, though. A third allowed armed Mexican nationals with no legal immigration status to be brought into the United States by a subcontractor to provide security for its work building a border wall as part of a federal contract. So... We're hiring companies that have used sicarios for security with no legal status. We're hiring Mexican mercenaries on our projects in the United States to help to aid in deporting Mexican gardeners and pipe fitters and shit.
Yeah, no, it's a little on the nose. It's because people always point out all the time that all of these rich white conservative assholes or whatever employ illegal immigrants in the businesses they own or to work on their property and shit like that all the time. But getting armed illegal immigrants to corral what do? They get rid of the first. They corral them first, and then now it's like, oh, we got them all here in one place, and then they just chuck them into the alligator pond too.
We bring in armed illegal Mexicans to round up the unarmed illegal Mexicans. All right. So now, how do we get rid of the armed illegal Mexicans? Okay, we got to bring in some armed illegal Colombians. We got to level up. All right. It's like the old Simpsons bit where you bring in the snakes to eat the rats, and you bring in the tigers to eat the snakes, and you bring.
Yes. Well, it is funny too that that's how they presented the whole thing to the populace. Like when Biden was the president, it's like they're letting in all these armed, dangerous, illegal immigrants. And it's like, so what we're going to do to combat that is we're going to get a whole bunch of other armed, dangerous, illegal immigrants, but that are on our side. and sick them on each other. Actually, I mean, hell, they'd probably be pretty much fine with that, I guess.
Yeah.
But, all right.
All right. So I want to talk about today a through line of stories basically about the Trump administration declaring war on everyone around the globe all at once and how the fuck they think they're going to do it, all right? So it's like they started with occupying D.C. Now, Trump did this thing where he told Todd Starnes he was going to go out and patrol with the National Guard. And as far as I can tell, all he did was give a little pep talk to a few National Guard soldiers. But here's Todd Starnes, conservative influencer, being really excited after he talked to Trump.
Does the president have a gun? Are they going to let him tase somebody? I want to see my president tase somebody tonight. That's what I want to see. Does the president have a...
Just sadism.
Yeah, no, the cruelty is the point. Yeah, no, I mean, they really do. They would love that, dude. Like if Donald Trump tased some, just some, it wouldn't, they did no context at all. If it was like brown or a black dude who just was in part of the street of D.C. or whatever, and Donald Trump viciously tased him, that shit would do crazy numbers, bro. They would they'd all get erections over that. They'd love that shit.
That's a part of this, like if you turn on like CNN or MSNBC or Fox, they'll be talking about crime and a crackdown on crime. They totally accept his bullshit fucking justification, even though he doesn't even really mean it. But if you look at actual conservative media, what they're sharing is videos of like ICE and the feds just beating the shit out of people who are like riding to work on bicycles.
Right.
Like they're not looking at crime. Someone do something about these gang members. And it was a kid riding a four-wheeler down a street. Again, going back to the whole fucking popping wheelies thing. So Trump, he said this the other day, talking about like he's still repeating the crime thing, even if no one, including his own supporters, really believes him. If you got this, Matt.
But in the last 11 days, we've had no murders, and that's the first time that's taken place in years. Actually, years. We always have a murder a week. They call it a murder a week. You come here from Iowa, you come here from Indiana, you come here from Idaho, because you're so proud of your country, you love your country, and then you get murdered. Your son gets murdered, you get murdered. See the media, you get murdered. Many of you have been murdered.
So you come in from all the states that start with I, Iowa, Indiana, Idaho, and then you go so we've all seen all the planes loaded with flag draped coffins being sent back to Iowa from people that just wanted to fucking go to the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
Oh fuck.
All those field trips every year that all those schools take to, like the mall and the monuments and all that stuff. It's like what people don't realize is that only 30% of those kids make it back on average per year. The rest of them are murdered by D.C. gang members. And everybody up until Trump showed up was just totally fine with that. Oddly, you'd think that sort of thing would have been frowned upon by, any administration or any living person if that were happening. But it took a strong man like Donald Trump to take charge. And but yeah, he's saying, "Oh, this is going great in D.C., right? So now we're going to do it in a bunch of other places too." Isn't that what he's saying?
Yeah, they're saying Chicago's next. They're also I think it's up to 19 states that are deployed in D.C. right now. The National Guard deployed, which we'll get to because it's more like the National Guard's doing the least. Mm-hmm. Like they're not even they're just standing around, right? Like they weren't even armed until last night, which they shouldn't be armed because they don't need to be armed. There's no fucking shootouts happening,
right?
But that's what's funny. It's like the idea that Trump tried the same thing on January 6th to walk around D.C. and the Secret Service absolutely would not let him do it because you can't let the president walk around a bunch of unarmed people, even if they're National Guard. One crazy weekend warrior shoots the president, right? It's not outside the realm of possibilities. On military bases, they don't have free access to guns. You got to sign those motherfuckers out. So they also started trying to train the DC National Guard on the military version of the 6-hour P320s. Remember we talked about them a couple weeks ago, the guns that automatically go off by themselves.
Right.
So they have the National Guard carrying the guns that shoot by themselves, and they wanted Trump to hang out around them. So a lot of fun possibilities happening there. Trump signed an executive order today expanding the National Guard's city occupying capabilities, which basically the National Guard's trading stuff support role stuff. Like if you deploy them overseas, they're doing they're driving trucks and distributing supplies. They're not usually not doing combat shit.
Right, and it's and when they get deployed to American cities, usually it's for sandbags and and supplies and logistics and shit like that, right? Facilitating recovery efforts and things like that, not cracking down on anything.
Or to do patrols and like where they like times of hardcore civil strife, which they use them for lower bars and that, but they're not supposed to. But they're not authorized to like shoot anybody. They just stand around looking like army people, being like, "Hey, curfew, go home," right? So, but yeah, the number here is 1,700 National Guard troops in 19 states. They're all coming from Republican-controlled states, of course. But like the idea that like this seems like a lot of fucking bullshit. They could obviously be used for horrific stuff, and if any Democrat wants to get ahead of this, something fucked up is going to happen eventually, because it always does. So, like, if you want to be ahead of public outrage, you can be on the right side of stuff now, or you can just fucking wait like cowards until you like seem like you're late to the party. But so these 1,700 troops, like Governor Joe Lombardo of Nevada has sent 35 National Guard people to help DHS with clerical, administrative, and logistical support. The Idaho National Guard sent 14 people to do administrative help do data entry for ICE. So, like, the idea, if they're trying to scare people, it's ICE that scares me. It's not the fucking National Guard. At the same time Trump's doing this, like, he appears to be moving forward with attacks on the Mexican drug cartels. So if you're going to be deploying the National Guard, it should probably be to the border, although I don't really agree with doing any of this stuff. But according to Ken Klippenstein, the United States has already been running, Ken Klippenstein is an independent national security reporter. U.S. is already running covert operations out of its embassy in Mexico City via Special Operations Command Forward Mexico, which coordinates with CIA and FBI representatives in country. But they like keep it quiet to respect Mexico's sovereignty, and they work with the Mexican federales, the Mexican intelligence
right.
stuff.
I mean, that's I'm literally basing this on the Netflix series Narcos, but isn't that like kind of a setup that's been ongoing for a long time, like the DEA and CIA agents and stuff like that who kind of working in the shadows in Mexico with all this drug cartel shit.
Well, the DEA supplies like a lot of intelligence to Mexican federal police. They're not supposed to operate really. Since you're talking about the show, that's about the real life killing of Kiki Camarena, right? Who did? But that's because they killed a DEA agent who was just there like doing intel stuff. That escalated. That did cause so Mexico let America do more shit to keep a lid on. But it's not great for Mexican politics to have America fucking meddling like this.
Of course.
But like Northcom, which is we'll talk about in a second, they hosted some Mexican generals in July. So far, Mexico's cooperating and they're going along with it. But what they're building up to, and we'll talk about Venezuela in a little bit, seems to be more than that. It's something that's not going to be tenable for Mexican-American relations. So the people that are going to end up being in charge of this, here's a fun little side plot. SOC North, Special Operations Command North, which is the, Special Ops Commands are divide the world up into, like, various regions they're responsible for. But I know, like, you got one group in charge of operations in, like, North Middle East, North Africa. You got some in Europe that are fighting in Ukraine right now. You got, people fighting, like, terror groups in, like, Philippines and shit. And then you got Northcom, SOC North, which is responsible for, like, North America.
Yeah.
They ain't got shit to do, Trey.
Right.
Until now. They just built the new $55 million headquarters at Peterson Space Force Base in Colorado. So if you want to feel useless, be a Navy SEAL headquartered at a Space Force base in Colorado.
Yeah. I mean, literally what do they do there? Like what are they doing at a Space Force base in Colorado? Like, well, I sometimes forget the Space Force actually become a thing, and there are people who are in the Space Force and stuff. But like, what do they be doing?
There was a Space Force signal intelligence guy who just got sent to jail for murder. Why Space Force has signals intelligence, I can't quite fucking figure out. But like, so this guy who was responsible for, like, I guess intercepting communications from other countries' space forces that don't exist was caught two teens breaking into his car, chased them off with a gun. Chased them down in his car, shot them both in the back, and then became a conservative like icon because how this guy can't defend his property. No, you can't chase down teens and execute them.
Right.
For doing property crimes. Sorry. It's not something we do in a lawful society. You call the cops and you say, hey, you file an insurance report. So anyway, but that's what Space Force does. They mostly go crazy because they have nothing to do and shoot kids in the back.
Yep. That checks out.
So what So what Soak North has been doing is like they've been doing stuff like they do a little bit of stuff on the border in Mexico. They've been doing like drug interdiction efforts in like the Caribbean with like alongside the Bahamian police and shit. So like not stuff you go through buds and become a SEAL to do, right? They have also been engaged in Arctic training exercises, like Arctic warfare. Like here they are. There's them training with Norwegian special forces in the Arctic. Because the idea was like, okay, well, we got to find something to do to look busy. We'll get ready for war in the Arctic with China and Russia, right? But now they got a war to fight in Mexico, and goddamn, they're fucking horny for it. All right, so these are the guys we're going to unleash on the Mexican cartels, quote unquote cartels, because they're fucking bored. So let's talk about pivot to talking about Venezuela for a little bit. Here's Pam Bondi last week talking about Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela.
Today, the Department of Justice and State Department are announcing a historic $50 million reward for information leading to the arrest of Nicolas Maduro.
All right.
Maduro
He's in Venezuela. Can I have $50 million? Like, what the fuck does this do? Like what is supposed to happen now? How do you collect this bounty?
I don't know. Is it they're trying to incentivize somebody like someone that's in his inner circle in Venezuela to, turncoat, defect, something like that?
Or to start manning a coup? But here's the part that kills me here. Like a lot of this stuff is like they would not be the first American administration to do a coup in Venezuela. Not even probably the fifth or sixth. But they do the normal American fucking evil empire shit, but they're so clumsy and stupid at it that it bumblefucks into like nothingness, which is, I guess, is good. I'd rather do this than actually do a coup in Venezuela. But like the way you do a coup in Venezuela is you come with a pretext to meet one of his like more ambitious generals, or a couple of them, at a bank in Panama under a fake, under a cover of a ruse, right? Mm-hmm. And then you offer them the $50 million and asylum if the coup fails. You don't go on TV, but you know how dumb this is. The $50 million is just all they did was up it from $25 million that Joe Biden had offered.
You're right. What's their like? What crimes or whatever they they want him to be brought to justice for, and like as far as the American government goes? I know that he's been like persona non grata and he don't hit all that commie shit and stuff for a long time. But like, what's he done? Like, what do they want to him to pay for?
What is the pretext, or what's the real reason?
Well, I'd love to hear both, I think.
All right. Well, the pretext is so there's a thing that exists called the Cartel of the Sun, which runs drugs from Colombia through Venezuela through the Caribbean into, I guess, the United States, and it has a lot of Mexican military people involved in it. I mean, Venezuelan military, involved in it. And so they're alleging that Nicolas Maduro is the head of the Cartel of the Sun, which he might very well get paid off of it. I just can't quite give a shit because, again, the drugs are coming from Colombia and going to the United States. Drugs are coming in the United States because Americans want to do drugs.
Right. Yeah. Not because of the actions of the middleman in that whole situation.
And they're coming from Colombia, which is an ally of the United States, where we train all their special forces using our Green Berets who keep getting arrested for dealing drugs, smuggling drugs. And so I have a hard time getting mad. Like you talk about Venezuela, the drug, as far as how drug producing countries go, I think 90% of the world's cocaine America's cocaine comes from Colombia. Another combination of countries make up the other 10%. One of them is Venezuela, but they're not remotely the problem. And so, it's just but what Venezuela does have a lot of is oil reserves.
Right. Yep.
They have about as much oil as Iraq. So you can do the math there. It's also just the fact they have a socialist in charge.
Yeah.
It doesn't hit for them. And Maduro does suck, not because he says he wants to help people have health care and better jobs, but because he's a fucking authoritarian, corrupt dipshit, right?
Right.
So we just deployed 3 Aegis-guided missile destroyers to the waters off Venezuela. I think there are 4,000 Marines in a ship somewhere too, just sitting off the coast of Venezuela in the Caribbean. And Trump says to combat threats from Latin American drug cartels. There were also an anonymous official said the vessels will be deployed, quote, over the course of several months. So they're just sitting there for months, not doing nothing. For his part, Maduro announced the deployment of 4.5 million militiamen throughout the national territory and said, quote, no empire is going to touch the sacred ground of Venezuela. and it minimized, quote, threats to the peace of the country. Now, 4.5 million is an exaggeration. The best accurate count I can see is 400,000. We'll talk about them in a few minutes. But so Maduro has been indicted in New York federal court in 2020 during Trump's first administration on narco-terrorism and conspiracy to import cocaine. But the fact this is happening now, currently on the New York Times bestseller list is a book that I'm in the middle of reading called The Fort Bragg Cartel. All right. So you can talk about the stuff that America does to perpetuate the drug trade, be it either on purpose or by accident. I think even normies have caught on now that the whole purpose of the Afghan war was to turn Afghanistan back into a narco state. Now, that was just a bank shot trying to get rid of the Taliban, because the Taliban were tough on crime because they had cracked down on all the pedophile heroin traffickers. So their natural allies in the war to take down the Taliban were the pedophile heroin trackers. So those are the warlords we partner with. So we put the pedophile heroin traffickers back in charge. And then coincidentally, America suffered a huge opioid and heroin epidemic that we're still going through, right? So you can say that was on purpose. I'm not sure which part of what happened in Afghanistan with our opioid epidemic was on purpose or by accident, but it's a CIA bumblefuck, the kind that we're used to. A little from column A, a little from column B. Then you talk about what's going on in Fort Bragg. We've talked about it some before, and I really recommend this book because all the pieces we've been talking about for a couple of years, trying to figure out why the fuck these weird murders are happening at Fort Bragg, and why the fuck they keep getting busted with millions of dollars of cocaine. This investigative reporter by the name of Seth Hart has pieced a lot of these different anecdotes into a really compelling narrative that these Delta Force guys and Green Berets are moving a fuck ton of cocaine where they're all doped up on coke, ecstasy, steroids, but they get addicted to drugs after the military gives them dextroamphetamines to stay awake for 3 days while they're doing night raids, then gives them benzos and Ambien so they can sleep, and gives them Toradol or one of those dolls for pain, which gets them hooked on opioids. And so when those don't work anymore, they pivot to cocaine, heroin, and steroids and other kinds of drugs.
A version of this was depicted in one of our favorite documentary series called Reacher on Amazon. Right? Remember that? The army guys on the base running drugs and shit like that. Pretty sure I've made that joke before when something like this has come up, but still.
Here's the funny thing about Reacher is Reacher's written by a British guy who doesn't know how the U.S. military works. In the real life, that's not what Army cops do. In real life, Army cops arrest people for drunk and disorderly and look the other direction of people running drugs on base, right?
Right.
But either way, the idea that that fucking book, I can't recommend it enough. And I know that a bunch of special forces guys are mad at it to the point of threatening the reporter's life and stuff. They're saying he's full of shit. I'm just telling you that I don't think every anecdote in the story is true, because a lot of the sources, and there's hundreds of them, are drug addict Green Berets who are in federal prison. But if you wonder about their credibility, why would you not worry about the credibility of a government that got them addicted to drugs in the first place?
Right.
So the idea that we're going to solve America's drug crisis by dropping these guys in Colombia and Venezuela and Mexico.
Yeah.
It beggars belief. It drives me fucking insane. And there's a story in a book. I'm digressing here, but the main character in the book, if there is one, but is a guy named Billy Levine, and he gets so addicted to cocaine that crack doesn't do it for him anymore. So he starts boofing speedballs. You know what boofing is, Trey?
Up the butt, right?
Yeah, he's shoving combinations of coke and heroin up his butt.
Yeah.
Before he murders his best. Yeah, before he murders his best friend, who's a Green Beret. So yeah, all this is a very, very, very fucking bad idea. None of it, my whole point of bringing all this up is you don't need to trust any of their motives. Anyway, well, part of this really hit for me in this story the New York Times had the headline was Trump directs military to target four drug cartels. One of the things the military is trying to figure out, their lawyers are researching, is does it count as murder if we kill civilians if Congress hasn't authorized military force? That's a good fucking question. It's a good question. So Nicolas Maduro, for his part, is calling on China for help as pressure mounts from the United States. He had a fucking really fun speech this week. He was talking to something called the First Pedagogical Congress of Bolivarian Teachers. He's talking, he said, quote, "You want to learn something? You look for a tutorial. I want to learn how to handle this new Huawei phone." Huawei is China's flagship brand in mobile devices.
Right.
Huawei is the most advanced in the world. This was given to me by President Xi Jinping of China. I have it here. I communicate by satellite with him, Maduro commented closing at the event. He put the phone to his ear tray and said, "Ni hao, ni hao." So just like Eric Adams did earlier, talking about Winnie Greco, we got Mayor Eric Adams, the socialist dictator of fucking Venezuela, who we apparently are going to stop drugs by deposing in a coup.
Okay. But also this guy's, so he's making public appearances and speeches and stuff?
Yeah.
Maduro.
He's president of the country. Yeah.
Right, yeah. I know. Well, I don't know. It's weird. Like, it's like you said, when you first started this. I know where he's at. He's in Venezuela. Give me $50 million. But it's like, I don't know. They make it sound like he's in high, like he's Osama himself or something. But he's just, just doing president stuff every day, I guess.
If you want to, you can see it because it just really hit for me. I've got the video of this whole thing here.
Es el más avanzado del mundo. Que me lo regaló el presidente Xi Jinping de China. Aquí lo cargo. Yo me comunico por satélite con este. Ni hao. Ni hao. Yes, yeah.
He says, she, thank you. Hello, thank you. So, if we kill this one guy, Trey, drugs stop being a problem. All our cousins come back to life from their pill addictions. So, talk about him activating the militia, all right? It's hard to describe what national dignity means or pride or whatever, but, like, people just do not like being conquered or fucked with in this way, even if Nicolas Maduro does not hit for them.
Yeah, of course.
So a bunch of housewives and retarees are lining up to join this militia in response to these, quote, what Maduro's calling, quote, outlandish threats, because they fucking are outlandish threats. We quote him a 78-year-old woman named Omera Hernandez. I know that because of my age, I'm not going to carry a rifle, but I'm willing to help them. So if we send coked up Green Berets and Delta guys to kill the 78-year-old woman.
Right. Fight Venezuelan mammals or whatever. In order to
finally
win the war on drugs, which is, of course, perhaps the most unwinnable war ever undertaken in the history of mankind.
Bro, if you can't keep Delta Force from boofing fucking speedballs,
right?
You can't keep drugs out of prisons.
Yeah, no, it's human nature, dude. People are gonna find a way. I wanted to ask you real quick before we left, just what you thought about the like Trump's health stuff. Do you see that thing that went kind of viral from that dude that's not actually a doctor? He's like a physical therapist or something. Do you know what I'm talking about? There's like a physical therapist made a TikTok and where he said what's the word? He opined that perhaps Donald Trump had like 6 to 8 months to live or something. And of course, like Reddit and a bunch of other places were like, grabbing that and running with it and popping bottles. A lot of other people were like, look, this dude don't know. That's just pure speculation, and he's not even an MD and all this stuff. So I just wondering what you thought about that. Me, I find that I just, believe in the principle that, like, the worst people seem to live the longest. Like, that just seems to be what always fucking happens. So I don't buy it at all.
So, August 24th was the day a bunch of TikTok psychics had pegged for the day Trump was going to die. So unfortunately, that does come and pass. So a bunch of TikTok psychics owe me some money back. But like, so you're telling me the mysterious bruise on the back of his hand that shows up once a month, like he's getting IV and his cankles and shit. And in fact, he weaves when he walks and he slurs his speech and all this shit. I don't know. The only data points that make sense to me, like he keeps talking about how he wants to get into heaven, like in public interviews. Which he wants. He seems to think if he gets a Nobel Peace Prize, it's like a free pass to get into heaven, like Chuck E. Cheese tickets get you a cap eraser.
Right.
So that's the urgency to end the war in Ukraine, I guess. And then he also, I don't know. The only thing about escalating the military deployments in D.C. is like it's way too soon to like keep himself in power in 2028. So like, are they doing like are they trying to keep people from dancing in the streets in the lead up to a state funeral? Like, is he like literally on his last legs? But yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know, dude. Look, honestly, whatever. With just knowing that would mean, among many other things, President Jim David Vance or whatever. I don't remember JD's, but just JD.
Well, he's changed it several times, so I can't keep him straight.
Yeah, right. But JD Vance being the president is like. That's just that's pretty tough for me. Imagining that, I don't know. Anyway, but I don't have any. Like I said, I have no it wouldn't not hit for me if all these health woes were as bad as people are saying they are. But I just, like I said, it's just not how things work usually.
Here's my question: would they tell us if he died?
Oh, you mean they'd do like a body double thing? Like they were always saying, like Joe Biden did? They'd clone Trump or get a body double and march him out there and lie to everybody about it?
I think they might take a couple of days at least to tell us if they figured out if they could pull it off.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, he likes being on camera, so people eventually figure it out. But, like, it's like...
Oh, my God, dude. That would be bananas if that fucking happens.
The death of Stalin ain't got nothing with our coming reality, man.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, it's going to be wild. All right. Well, thank you all for watching. That's it for this week's episode. Real quick, go to TreyCrowder.com and get tickets to come see me if I'm coming near your city. Check out Special Trash Daddy. Listen to producer Matt's audio exclusive Good Skews on the podcast version of the show. And consider supporting the show on Patreon, weeklyskews.com/more, or just go to Patreon and search for my name. $5 a month through full-length bonus episodes. Either way, if you keep showing up on Skews days, we will too, I reckon. See you in 7 days. Love you. Bye.